favorite aspect of post-production?
Once you get past the first assembly, when you actually start to listen and think about images and connections and relationships between what people are saying and what if it's an ensemble cast that you're editing, or if it's even one or a story about a single individual or a few individuals around them. um, I tell my students also the real excitement of edit begins once you have something in the timeline, because till then what you're doing is a lot of housekeeping, a lot of arranging, managing, so you have easily accessible material that you know where it lives. But it really, the sparks really start to come alive, and you start to kind of really get buried in the story as you start to watch the timeline. And I have a colleague who sometimes refers to the process of making a story as a picture puzzle. And maybe he does that to make his students understand it. But to me, it's only partly true that it's a picture puzzle, because a picture puzzle assumes that you already have a pre-formed story and all you're doing is making pieces fit. But I have seen, as I'm sure any editor will testify, that the stories actually meander and take shape and go in different directions from this pre-conceptualized picture puzzle that you may have started with. So I think that part always excites me as to how stories take a turn and how an image and word in the timeline speak differently. They may have lived in a different place, but once you put them together, I mean, that's the true power of editing, is when you place things next to each other and when they start to speak in a different way.
Awesome. Super awesome. I love the picture puzzle analogy. I use it myself. And I always say you're not always just putting the puzzle together, but sometimes you're going out and getting the puzzle pieces.
That's good too.
Uh, well, the other side of that, we all know editing can be long and frustrating. What is your least favorite part of it?
I would say it used to be the transcription process. Back in the day, when there was no speech recognition software, and it was all had to be done. And if you were working on tight budgets, you ended up doing some of that yourself. The advantage to that was that you are intimately familiar with the material, and you knew exactly what people had said, and it was kind of burned in your head as you went through the process. But it took time, and it kept you from, because inside you wanted to just get to cutting the story, and you couldn't do it because you didn't know word for word what was said. Thankfully, that's been sort of taken care of with a lot of very smart transcription software. Um, at this point, my least favorite is logging and getting everything organized and labeled properly. I still err sometimes. I still leave a bunch of things just broadly labeled the bin, and then leave the contents kind of unlabeled. But I think those are the time-consuming things that, as an editor, they will come back to haunt you, because you will be scrolling through a bin trying to find that clip that lives there, but you haven't labeled it. So I think some of those parts are frustrating. I think towards the tail end of the post process, once you have the film kind of finished, again, depending on the budgets, and I often work I'm a complete end-to-end editor. So I will color correct, I'll mix sound. But lately I've had some help. Sometimes the color correction process can be very time consuming because you're going frame by frame, and sometimes you have multiple shots from multiple sources. So I would say those two are not the most favorite parts.